What is going on, everybody?
Hello!
It is Pixbutters here, and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Spirit of Justice. When we left off, we're back in court.
Yeah.
The first thing that happened is fucking Sorin absolutely shattered Ellen's heart.
Yeah,
but
that was...
we're gonna try and make things better.
Oof.
We are marriage counselors today.
That was angst.
As we try and prove that Mr. Sprocket didn't go through the hold, and I was unsure of what we would do to make it fit because, you know, the blood stain over here, like, that kind of shows of presses him in the lift. And then the candelabra, that was in the lift area, so I don't really think that makes sense. But then I remembered that we have the hold entry record of the people that went into the hold that night.
Oh, yeah.
And his name's not on the list.
I forgot all about that thing.
But we got Mr. Pierce Nickety on that damn list. So, I hope I'm right. As anyone can see from the hold entry record,
So far, it seems like you are.
there's absolutely no mention of Sorin Sprocket entering the hold.
Oh.
The defense asserts that Mr. Sprocket used a different route to get to the Vista deck. You can assert all you want, Mr. Wright, but can you actually prove another route exists? Can you prove the existence of another route to the Vista deck, you ask? I'm not aware. This might be one of those where you kind of have to do a not yet, because I don't think... I
checked the map.
I'll have to go way back, but the map didn't have anything
show
that I
anything.
remember. In fact, yeah, because it's just solid wall there, and it just shows, you know, down, boom, boom. Well, we could use the emergency exit,
Yeah.
potentially.
Yeah.
It's a bit dangerous, but that sounds like our only option right now.
Yeah.
Let's go for it. If it doesn't work, I'll just say no. I can prove it. Even if it's just a bluff, I have to present something. Anything that could prove the existence of a faster route to the Vista deck.
Very well then, Mr. Wright.
We were right. Yep.
Show us how Mr. Sprocket got to the Vista deck.
Well, it is this screen too, so that makes
Yeah.
it... Mr. Sprocket made it to the Vista deck through here.
Right there. Yep.
This handy dandy little spot. Take that. To save his bride from danger, Mr. Sprocket opened the escape hatch and made his way along the outside wall to the Vista deck. Isn't that right, Mr. Sprocket?
It will certainly be a much faster route to the Vista deck.
And more thrilling.
What?
Oh boy. Really now? I'm disappointed, Mr. Wright. Is that really the best you could muster?
Oh boy.
That escape hatch is not meant to be used to get to the reception hall to the Vista deck. One slip and that's all it would take for Mr. Sprocket to plunge to his death.
I have to agree, the defense's claim is really stretching it.
I understand how it sounds, Your Honor. But at this point, it's too early to definitely say that he didn't go that way.
So that's what you're going with then, I take it?
Of course, Your Honor.
Oh boy.
This is real life, Mr. Wright, not some cinematic drivel or comic book. This isn't Mission Impossible. Do you have some sort of logical explanation to share that would convince us of your claim? I do.
Are you sure, Nick?
Kind of. Actually, I have nothing. So I'll just have to wing it somehow.
Oh my god.
On what do you base your theory that Mr. Sprocket's made his way along the outside?
My theory he was able to go along the outside wall despite danger is based off of the power of love. To save the bride he loves, the groom risked his life and rushed to her side. Mr. Sprocket was able to make it to the Vista deck despite the danger because of the power of love.
The power of love? That love is a source of strength that can help one overcome any obstacle. I think I can relate things to my own long, happy marriage.
Of course you can. Wow, he actually seems to be buying it. The power of love, you say? What kind of illogical argument is hardly... That kind of illogical argument is hardly viable in a court of law. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor?
I'm afraid not, Mr. Edgeworth. You should never underestimate the power of love. Show it more often. You understand one day when you...
It was something about
You understand one day when you get married?
Which I won't.
Oof. Big oof, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Oh, boy.
Exactly what's so wrong with wishing to remain unwed. Way to set him off, Your Honor. Never mind all this unscientific nonsense. Are you aware, Mr. Wright, that at the time of the crime, there was a huge propeller turning at full speed between the hatch and the Vista deck? Even if a person were to go outside through the hatch.
Oh. Chop chop.
He'd be Sorin sushi. Or
Or
they'd be blown away in an instant. I like the I like the sushi part better, but where does your power of love get you now, Mr. Wright?
A huge spinning propeller, you say? In that case, I have to admit it does seem impossible.
Should have known.
Nick, you can't make that kind of face in front of your client. The worst of times are when lawyers have to force their biggest smiles.
Oh, look at you go.
Right?
Right. I feel like I just saw Mia looking out at me through Maya's eyes.
Aww.
Couldn't animate it or anything, but...
What's wrong, Nick? Why are you gaping at me like a giant sunfish?
Thank you, Maya. You just helped me remember something really important.
There it is! There's that fearless smile I was looking for! Now give us a mind-blowing theory, just like you always do.
I have to turn
I feel
my
like she's
thinking
talking
around.
to you.
Yeah. Instead of wondering how Sorin could have moved past that huge propeller, I'm thinking about what would have made it possible for him to do so. Your Honor, Mr. Wright only makes that ridiculous face when his back is pressed against the wall.
Oh, okay.
Therefore, please don't hurry and give your ruling before.
What kind of sentence was that, Edgeworth?
Mr. Edgeworth, enough about the talk of me with my back pressed against the wall. That's not for the courtroom right now, okay? It's still far too early to discount my theory, though. What are you talking about? The airship's large spinning propellers have already shredded it to pieces. But if we think a little more outside the box, or the airship, I'm sure we can find a way he could have made it. Stop trying to stall, Mr. Wright, and show us how it could have been even remotely possible, if at all.
Oh, you two really need to... Anyway, I must agree with Mr. Edgeworth.
Very well, Your Honor. There must have been a way. Some way that Sorin could have moved along the wall in spite of the propeller.
Now then, Mr. Wright, what specifically would have made it possible?
This is how impossible it was to get to the Vista deck.
One way, the airship wasn't flying, the propellers were broken.
I mean, the only one that really makes a sense for us to go forward is the airship wasn't flying.
Yeah.
The propellers were broken.
Because there's
That's
literally
you falling
no
out of the
other
sky
way.
anyways. That's the only thing that makes sense to push forward. Watch me be wrong, but
Oh.
no, it looks like we're good. What allowed Mr. Sprocket to go along the outside wall in spite of the propellers is the location of the flying chapel at the time of the crime.
The location of the flying chapel? But wasn't it flying high in the sky?
No, Your Honor, I'm afraid it wasn't.
What? Then where was it?
At the time of the murder, the airship wasn't flying through the sky, but moored to the ground. Was it because did it get grounded because of the storm?
Oh.
What?
And if the airship wasn't flying, then that means
The propellers wouldn't be moving.
the propellers weren't turning.
I was so close. Oh.
He's doing the nervous clickies.
Yep.
In which case,
Nervous clickies.
Mr. Sprocket could have gotten to the Vista deck along the outside wall. Isn't that right, Mr. Sprocket?
Whoa.
Well, that
That was.
Oh, he got his thumb with the other side of the pen. I don't remember.
That's what that face was.
Ow.
Ow.
Ow. He stabbed himself with his pencil. That's gonna leave a mark.
Pencil. That's worse.
Even if the propellers weren't turning, it would have been far too risky to go that way. But Mr. Edgeworth, you're forgetting about the power of love.
Yes, the amazing power of love.
Not this again. But very well. For the sake of argument, let's assume this so-called power of love made it possible for Mr. Sprocket to move along the outside wall of the airship. Can you prove that that airship was tied to the ground as you claim, Mr. Wright? Well, I don't have any evidence that proves where the airship was at the time. You can prove it, can't you? Mike, can you think of anything we can use to prove it?
Can't say I can. Oh, wait! Didn't somebody see something outside a window at the time of the crime?
I was thinking that would be
I
relevant.
think I remember someone saying as such.
Do I have a piece of evidence that shows what was outside the airship? Well, what are you waiting for? This piece of evidence shows what was outside the airship at the time of the crime. Larry, you finally come up clutch again, doing something for us. Trying to think of... Because, I mean, I know that we had the bench and the sign outside. But I don't quite know... Is that like a kite or something? It's got a little tip. I don't know, but maybe we'll have some idea.
What if that
for
was the bench flying?
This piece of evidence shows what was outside the airship at the time of the murder. What kind of lousy drawing is that? It's a drawing made by Larry Butts. Huh. And what can you prove with that poor attempt at artistry?
It's not that bad.
Larry made this drawing before he switched to lanterns. So he must have been right around when the murder was being committed. Now, if I could direct the court's attention here.
Is that a pterodactyl? Does that mean that the airship actually went back in time to the Cretaceous period?
No. We've already proven that time travel is nothing more than a gimmick, did we not?
Oh, you're right.
We did, and I have no intention of bringing up that argument again. But this drawing shows us an important piece of information.
Got excited. I really like
It shows that the airship was actually moored on the ground. And what makes you so sure? That's easy. All I have to do is consider who made this drawing. Not him. Larry. That's right. It was Mr. Butts, and we both know what he's like. He must have seen something else and mistaken it for a pterodactyl. I can't argue with you there.
He's gonna be like, no, I
Hey,
saw
wait,
it.
I'm just a doggone second here. What kind of moron do you guys take me for? I saw with my own eyes. A pterodactyl flew right by the window, I tell you. I have the sharp eyes of an artist. You don't believe me.
Don't lump yourself in with us.
No.
Just
Nope. So friends, you guys are. We're about to judge. You believe me, right, Joanna?
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid you need to leave this courtroom. Bailiff, if you would.
Come on, bud, let's go. Why does anybody believe me? No, I don't want to.
oh my god, they literally just took him out.
Don't take it personal, Larry. I know you're just being, well, you.
I wish she would have asked Maya too. She's like, no.
Ahem. Now then, so you're saying that what Mr. Butts really saw bears some relation to what was outside the airship at the time of the murder?
Yes, Your Honor. At least I think it does. What this pterodactyl really is will prove the airship was anchored at the mooring dock. Had better anyway. If it doesn't, my whole argument is a bust.
Yep.
If you're that confident about it, then please go ahead and tell us what it really was.
Yes, Your Honor. Think, Phoenix. What could that pterodactyl actually have been?
The bench. I'm telling you.
Yeah. I wonder if, like, I mean, I don't know how much artistic freedom he took. Like, I wonder if, like, he saw the moment that it, like, impacted, and that's what he saw. Maybe that's why it has an eye, as it was like, Pwah! But
Oh, wait.
what?
It could be that. It could be the thing there.
Yeah,
Because it looks like a beak. But
it does.
you see?
There's actually, because the way the sign's taped too, also, yeah.
It makes more sense than the bench.
Please take a look at this sign.
At the sign?
I think it was the bench hitting the sign that
Yeah.
does it. So
It appears to have been broken and then repaired. But what does this sign have to do with the pterodactyl?
Please focus on this part of the sign.
Yeah, it's that.
So wild.
The part that broke off and got reattached? What about it?
How about if we turn it like this?
Oh my god, it's exactly a pterodactyl.
That sheep! It's the pterodactyl in the drawing!
Fucking, what are the chances?
The
Just that
exact
flies
shape.
by his window.
Yeah.
What Mr. Butts actually saw was this chunk as it was being blown through the air by wind.
I kind of wish he was here so we could see that, but
What?
We'll tell him later.
just be like, dude, this is what you saw, and he'll be like, oh.
Oh, the luck. On the day of the murder, there were some heavy winds in the area of the mooring dock. But it's hard to imagine that this sign would have made it up as high as an airship would fly.
That helps prove
That
it, too.
means the flying chapel must have been anchored at the mooring dock that night. Isn't that right, Mr. Sprocket?
What?
Oh boy.
What now? You.
That's more than enough of this power of love nonsense, you pop culture junkie. Present all the proof you want, but your argument is based off of far too much in conjecture. Why don't we return to reality now?
Pop culture junkie?
But what do you mean too much conjecture? Even if the airship wasn't flying, that alone doesn't prove the witness went along the wall.
True, even now it's no more than a possibility.
Unless
Then
he
how do
says
you
something.
propose Mrs. Brock got to the Vista deck, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean, I've kind of told you. But I noticed something as I went over the evidence. Please take a look at this hold entry record. What about it? I don't see Mr. Sprocket listed on here anywhere. Don't you remember? In yesterday's session, we had a very similar kind of argument. Did we? Honestly, Mr. Wright, are you going senile already? We talked about Larry Butts using the defendant's key card to enter the hold. Oh, we did talk about that, didn't we?
You're literally Phoenix. Like, I don't remember it. It was.
In other words, even if a person's name isn't on the entry record, it's still possible for that person to have entered using someone else's card. Mr. Sprocket, you entered the hold with Mr. Nickety,
Yeah.
didn't you? I did. What? Why didn't you tell us that in the first place? But Pierce is indispensable. I didn't want to mention him unnecessarily and risk having him wrongly accused. I couldn't do without him.
Mr. Sprocket, I ask you if you testify in greater detail about your movements that night. For
Well,
some
you better
reason,
give us a
my brain
better
wanted
answer.
to say identify, but that's not what it was.
The truth. Is it though? The truth is I went to the Vista deck with Pierce. That's why my name doesn't appear in the hold entry record. I was badly injured being stabbed, but I was frantic. By the time we reached the scene, it was all over.
But he was so nervous when we were like, he went along the side.
Well, he's definitely, I think there's some fishy stuff going on here, but
Oh, yeah,
well, this
absolutely.
doesn't help me out one bit.
There's always fishy stuff going on.
Mr. Sprocket, you've concealed information from us time and time again.
It's like a seafood market up in here.
Who do you think you are treating this court of law with such irreverence? That being said, I do appreciate the testimony you gave just now. Thanks to you, we now know why your name doesn't appear on the entry record. Now there are no more inconsistencies in the witness's testimony.
That's Mr. Edgeworth for you. He never leaves a loose end dangling. You okay, Nick?
I wouldn't exactly call this situation okay. Somehow I have to coax the information we need for an opening out of him. If I even can, that is. Well, let's find out.
Cross-examination.
Let me at him.
The truth.
Alright, the truth is you went to this deck, Pierce. Did you really now?
Oh my god, ow.
Sorry. You didn't mention this because you didn't want Mr. Nickety to fall under suspicion? Is it because he has something to hide? I just didn't want the police to take up his time with all their questions, that's all. Neither the company nor the household would function smoothly without him. I see. Well, sounds like Pierce is absolutely indispensable to the Sprockets. Anyway, getting back to your statement. When did you meet up with Mr. Nickety? We met up on my way to the Vista deck. I think Pierce and some of my relatives were on another floor. But Pierce heard the commotion and came running to my aid. You can hear the pandemonium all the way from another floor?
Mr. Wright, would you like the current statement added to the witness's testimony?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okie dokie.
Yes, please, Your Honor.
Very well.
Heard the commotion and he came running. Are you so sure about that? I did, Mr. Nickety come alone. I believe some of his subordinates were with him, but I don't remember exactly how many. You may say there were others, but seeing how they pulled that second reception off, can't completely trust anything he has to say either.
No.
I see. So you, Mr. Nickety, and a few others headed to the Vista deck, is that right? That's right. Something tells me that's a load of fucking loogies.
Yeah.
That's why your name doesn't appear on the whole entry record? Your name doesn't appear on the whole entry record because you entered with Mr. Nickety using his key card. That's right. So I guess the whole entry record doesn't matter as much as we thought. But now that Sorin's saying he was with Pierce and a few others, it's pretty tough to refute that statement. What's the matter, Mr. Wright? Cat got your tongue? Did you finally realize there's no point in continuing this trial any longer? Of course not! No, wipe that smug look off your face.
Fight!
Mr. Sprocket, please continue with your testimony. I'll fight with words, motherfucker. Badly injured for being stabbed, you're frantic. Speaking of your injury, how are you doing now? The knife wound is deep and continues to throb with pain. Fortunately, my internal organs were spared. But one wrong move would have spelled the end for me there. Even so, I've seen you up and about all over the place since the incident. I'm only following my doctor's orders to perform some daily light exercises.
Mr. Wright, would you like Mr. Sprocket's statement about his condition added to his testimony? Not that it appears especially relevant to me.
Yes, because he said knife.
I wasn't even paying attention to that, but I'll have it added, so...
He said knife.
Well, that's definitely the important
He said
part.
the knife wound.
Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to have it added to his testimony.
I see. Very well.
I'm paying close attention.
You do that while I'm busy with the
See?
voices. Yeah. Press that. Your injury was really that deep.
Yeah, I'm just analyzing everything while you're...
Luckily, I missed my internal organs, otherwise I wouldn't be alive right now. According to his doctor, his injury will take about 3 weeks to heal. There's no way someone with that kind of injury could have gone along the outside wall. But he might have been able to do it with the burst of adrenaline brought on by the pain. Adrenaline. Is that your answer for everything? In a court of law, the only thing that matters is evidence, not rampant speculation. At least admit it's scientific rampant speculation.
Yeah.
May I continue? Yes, of course. Fuck. Alright. By the time we reached the scene, it was all over. So you still insist that you reached the Vista deck after the murder had occurred? Is that correct? Yes, that's right. Ellen must have killed him. There's no other explanation.
I guess whether Pierce was with Sorin or not doesn't change the outcome.
I guess not. In fact, more witnesses actually makes it worse for us. So another cover-up, huh?
But that Sorin has too many secrets! I bet he's still hiding other things too.
That's definitely a possibility. But in a situation like this, what we have to do is go back to the basics.
Interrogation! I mean, you mean go over the testimony and check for any lies or inconsistencies?
Hard interrogation.
Yeah, back to the basics. I thought of medieval times.
You got it.
They really.
You got it.
All right, Nick, let's go for it.
All right,
Interrogation.
I'll get the jumbo cables in the car battery.
I'll get the other candelabra.
All right, let's go to this part that we're pretty confident the knife wound is deep. This is the weirdest knife I've ever seen.
Yep.
Ooh, fucking weird. Mr. Sprocket, you just said your injury is a knife wound, didn't you? Yes. But the weapon you were stabbed with was this candelabra. A fact I know you're quite aware of. Very well. This is what I heard directly from Master Sorin himself. As you surmise, Master Sorin was stabbed by Gloomsbury on the day of the murder. It happened after their first wedding reception. The happy couple was in the reception hall when suddenly Gloomsbury appeared. He attacked Miss Ellen and tried to take her away. Master Sorin went to stop him and found himself in a struggle with Gloomsbury. It was when Master Sorin was stabbed with the candelabra, he said. I love this game of Clue.
Oh.
It must have been a simple memory slip that made him misspeak. It happens to everyone. It has nothing to do with the case.
Oh my god.
Definitely happens to me.
Edgeworth, come on.
You must be pretty desperate to point out something so minute.
It's not.
I have to agree, Mr. Wright. You hardly need to make such a big deal over such a small mistake.
But I contend that it's an important inconsistency. Besides, I couldn't find anything else. That's the only thing I have to go after. And I say it's not important. Now let's not waste any more time on this matter.
I agree. Everybody has a little memory lapse every now and then.
Shut the fuck up. But Your Honor, please let me explain.
But can you? Can you really explain to this court what makes this slip so important?
Yes, I can, Your Honor. After all, it was Sorin himself who told Pierce that he had been stabbed by a candelabra. This is more than a simple memory slip. There has to be some kind of reason for it.
Well, Mr. Wright, please explain why the witness's slip of the tongue is so important.
The point to focus on here is why the witness would mistake the weapon used to stab him. Think carefully, Phoenix. This could very well change the course of the trial.
I see. So why did the witness make that mistake, Mr. Wright?
Mr. Sprocket identified the wrong weapon used against him because...
He's covering for someone.
That's not it.
Never mind.
Mr. Sprocket is trying to cover for someone. I was going to go with the bottom one. I can't remember what it is anymore, but...
And who might that be?
Well, Mr. Gloomsbury, maybe? Why would Mr. Sprocket try to cover for the man who stabbed him? And regardless of the weapon, the fact remains that Mr. Gloomsbury stabbed the witness.
Exactly, Mr. Edgeworth.
Yeah, sorry, Nick, but I have to agree.
I guess that makes sense.
Too bad there's no one to cover for you, Mr. Wright. You have to accept this penalty by all your lonesome. All by your lonesome, all alone.
I wouldn't mind having someone to cover for me every once in a while. Maya! Oh well, I can't lose heart now. I've got to keep on trying. Just identified.
Because I'm so sus of Pierce, that's why I was like, he's coming from...
Of course. He doesn't remember the incident, let alone the weapon used against him. Not only that, but I believe Mr. Sprocket has some sort of memory disorder.
Because he has to write everything down.
Yeah. Therefore, the defense contends that Mr. Sprocket's testimony thus far is invalid.
Are you a Sorin kitty, Evan?
Well, just because you can't find a flaw in his testimony, you want to throw it all out? Your baseless claim is nothing but pure slander of the witness's character.
Mr. Edgeworth is correct, Mr. Wright. Can you explain your grounds for making this claim?
Of course, Your Honor. Think of what Sorin has said and how he's behaved. That's where I'll find a clue.
Very well. Let's hear your argument then.
My grounds for claiming that Mr. Sprocket has a memory disorder is...
His notebook.
His airplane pen. He just zones out and focuses on it. Means he has ADD, and we know that means memory issues. The notebook he always has with him.
I mean, yeah. But
Exactly. It wasn't even a joke.
no.
I saw daily events and information about the people around him recorded in it.
Like a diary, perhaps?
No, Your Honor. It's much too detailed to be an ordinary diary. It's more on the order of a database, actually.
A database, you say?
That's right. For some reason, Mr. Sprocket is apparently unable to retain memories. That's why he writes every little detail of his life down in his notebook. How could you possibly know that for sure? He might just be an extremely compulsive person.
Because we read it.
I thought so too myself. At first. To be honest, we accidentally got a stain on that notebook yesterday.
You mean you got a stain on it?
Hey, you're the one who tried to grab it out of my... Never mind whose fault it was, just get to the point already. Right, sorry. Mr. Sprocket.
He's like, so you're the one who got the stain.
The page Miss Faye got a stain on yesterday. That's the page with details of your stabbing on it, isn't it?
That little Maya got on. Such a fucking petty bitch.
No, I only read this notebook because I'm very compulsive. Now drop the subject already. I'm sorry, but I'm not convinced. I noticed an odd fact about your notebook, Mr. Sprocket. On the earlier pages, you used to write down invention ideas. But after a certain date, you started writing a lot more down, and in much more detail.
Do you get, like, memory problems in the car accident, I'm guessing?
Probably.
From hitting his head?
And I'm also wondering if, I mean, obviously, because Phoenix said that, you know, we kind of spilled blood on the page of the incident where things happened. But I was also thinking that potentially he didn't remember the incident that well, so Pierce Nickety told him, oh, this is what happened.
Yeah.
Write it down. I believe your memory disorder stems from what happened on that date.
Something so monumental it caused a memory disorder, Mr. Wright.
You don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, but I do know what I'm talking about. And this is the proof. This is the thing that caused Miss Sprocket's memory disorder.
The newspaper.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to present that next time.
Oh, dang. Cliffhanger.
It's barely a cliffhanger. We even know the answer to it.
Yeah, but it's a cliffhanger to, you know, to how it's going to react.
The drama, the suspense. It's palpable.
Sure.